Good morning. Hello. $20? $20 what? What's 20? 20 coffees? Yes, 20 coffees. I agree. I fully support 20 coffees. Message before. I can't see any messages before. That was the first message that I saw. Weird. Let's make our coffee. Let's get the day going. Yeah, I don't see any other messages. Oh no, Becca, y'all got it now. That's a shame. Finished your book and tried to start the other one you told us about, and I can't wait. That was pretty funny, Amy. Did you? But Amy, reassure me that mine is better than that, please. Please tell me that, please, for the love of all things holy in this world. You must assure me that you had an easier time getting through mine, you know? I hope so, anyway. I really hope so. It's pretty funny, you guys. Okay, let's get a recycling bag for coffee pods. 100% better. Okay. You know, that's probably true. Morning, Katie. That's probably true, Amy. Oh, hi, Mama. Good morning, Mom. And it's because of you I made it to chapter 20. Oh, you made it to chapter 20. Of which one? Of which thing did you make it to chapter 20, Sammy? Of mine or of Nevermore? I hope of mine. But it'll be funny if it's Nevermore. I don't have the ability to push through if it doesn't catch me. Well, that's what Secret Fiance said. He was like, what are you doing to yourself? And I was like, I know. He was like, why are you tormenting yourself like this? I was like, this is a great question. He's right. Why was I? Sarah Kate novels. Oh, Sarah Kate novels. I don't think I know her. Huh. She would be new to me. Morning, Addie. Yeah, the thing is, like, once I got there, like, once I realized how confused I was like, well, maybe it'll tell me what's going on. Eventually, it didn't. It didn't. It just never did. It just never friggin' did. It never got there. Yeah. I mean, chapter 1 was the least problematic of the chapters that I read. Oh, I know you did, Anya. I believe you. It was hard. I am not saying that you should do it. No. But it was hard. It was so weird. Did any of you read the picture, the quotes in the one page that I posted a screenshot of? I mean, absolute bizarro land stuff up in here. And I think the thing that bothers me the most about it is how many parallels it has to my own novel. And like, when it's got so much in common with my book, and then on top of that, it's just, I don't know. Like, there's so much that, like, and like, I was complaining about this to Secret Fiance, and he was like, you can't think about it like that. And I know he's right, but I was like, how has that one sold so many? You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I'm doing something wrong, you know? Because, like, I don't know, I started to read it, and let me tell you, that's not the one, Becca. That's definitely not the one. You're right about that. Why is my Nespresso making such funny noises this morning? I literally just descowled you last week. You need to calm down. Stop being so noisy. Hi, Nisa. So incredibly loud. So weird, Amy. So weird. Like out of nowhere too, though, right, Amy? Like there's no lead up to that. Like all of a sudden it's that way, and you're like, wait, what? It like comes out of the blue. I was like, what is happening? That's true, Anya. That's exactly what Secret Fiance said. That's literally, he was like, you know, most people don't have a success their first novel. And I was like, I know, but it has to be better than that. Like, I don't want to put anybody down, but my gosh. Even just like, I don't know, like, like, I don't know. Is Anya from Tribeca? No, it's a different Anya. No. It's also spelled differently, Mom. It's Ania. So weird. It's all so weird, you guys. But, you know, enjoy a nice look at my Monstera this morning. Good morning, Monstera. You're huge. Very strange way to start a book. Nice. Yeah, agreed, Amy. I agree 100% with you. 100% agree. 100% agree. I have no explanation for what she was doing. There's two people who wrote it, so what they were doing, or I don't know, man. I got nothing. I've started the 4th book in the Megan Quinn hockey series. See, Megan Quinn writes well, though. I've read some of her stuff before. Happy to share a last name with her because she's good. I like her stuff. I've downloaded. I actually just, and I think you might. Oh no, I don't know if you can see it because you can't see what's on my Kindle. You can just see what I've said I'm reading because we're friends on Goodreads. But like, I just started her Bridesmaid for Hire, or I downloaded her series Bridesmaids for Hire, which I think should be pretty funny. That sounds like something I would enjoy, and I do like her writing. So anyway, we're probably going to finish Paris this week. I think we have 4 more chapters. And then we will go on to the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. I'm doing my best, Amy. I'm doing my best, but it's hard. The thing is, you guys, like, so the thing is, so like, of course, writing is hard in general. But The Prince of Oregon was easier to write because it is like, it's a romance, it's a rom-com. So like there's a formula in some ways. Like, of course, everyone, okay, bye, Mom. Everyone, she is. Yeah. I love Megan Quinn. A+ for Megan Quinn. If you see Megan Quinn's stuff, she's funny, and also her audiobooks are funny. I've listened to a number of those over the years as well. So if anyone's looking for a light, fun, silly rom-com that you can just enjoy and not be like, what's going on here, because it actually makes sense, Megan Quinn, she's great. But so The Prince of Oregon, although every book or everything is yeah, I've thought about that also, Amy. I've thought about writing a sequel for Sarah Beth because some people want that, and also a lot of people have actually asked for me to write a story that's Edith's backstory, so people can like get her life from before or whatever. But and that could be interesting, obviously, because you'd see the town like earlier and all that, which would be really fun. But because there is like almost a formulaic nature to rom-coms, it was really easy to be like, I know I need this, and this kind of things to happen. Of course, I had to make it unique and fill in the stuff in the in-between, but the book that I'm writing right now is less of a romance. It's basically like a contemporary new adult fiction novel that has a romantic storyline in it, as opposed to a romance that has other storylines, you know what I mean? And so it's a little bit more difficult because there's a lot more layers to it. Yeah, she is. She's really good. I highly recommend Megan Quinn. I also, if anyone else is looking for things that are fun to read, that are light, Julie Murphy is really good. She's really great. I've been enjoying her stuff quite a lot. Merry Little Meet Cute was my favorite thing over Christmas. Really, really good. Yeah. So those are all lots of fun. And of course, always Meg Cabot, you know, queen of my world. So I haven't read any Abby yet, so I will have to do that. She is literally on my list. I have the book. You know what, Addie, I don't know why I can't get into fantasy anymore. I used to read fantasy when I was younger, and I can't get into it, though I will tell you all two things. First thing I will tell you is that so I went to school specifically to rewrite fairy tales, more or less. And this new book that I'm writing is kind of a rewritten fairy play, sort of. I mean, it has some of those elements to it or whatever. That sounds confusing because there's not actually fairies in the book that I'm writing, but it's like an updated version of this story from this play from like the very, very early 1900s. That's one of my favorites. But also there is a bookstore around here who's actually having an updated fairy tales workshop coming up in 2 weeks. So I got a ticket to go to that. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm using a little bit of the story structure from this play that I've always loved and always wanted to update in this new novel. It's very different. So I'm not rewriting that play, not by any means. This is a completely story of my own making from my own brain. But like this, I'll just tell you, in the play, the character has to go through like a couple of different things to learn a lesson. And I mean, that's in a lot of things, but it sounds so convoluted when I don't tell you what it is, but I don't want to tell you what it is yet because I don't want to ruin the surprise. But like my character has to go through a couple different doors, let's just say, to get to the answers. But have any of you been following the playlist that I've been building? I wonder if anyone, if anybody wants a hint as to some of the stuff that happens in my book, there is going to be a special thanks for a website called concertarchives.org that I found. Concertarchives.org is doing the Lord's work. It's a website that literally has a list of every concert that has taken place at all of these venues across the world for like the last 70 years with their set lists. Extremely useful. Extremely useful. Yeah, I have it as well, Tiffany. Yeah, so I put them, I already started like a little document that says special thanks, and I'm like gonna put in all the places that I researched things. It's a very cool website. I really dove deep into that in a lot of the research because I needed something from a very specific day and time. And so I picked the day and then I went through, it's called concertarchives.org. They are definitely getting a special thanks in the back of my book because I used their stuff. Yeah. Very, very cool website. Because I was like, I don't know what was happening on this day in this town, you know, I need to know what was going on. And Secret Fiance was like, just make it up. And I was like, I don't want to make it up. It's going to give it a touch of realism if I use the actual thing that was actually happening, you know? So that is, that's something very, very cool for me anyway. Very, very cool. All right. So let's get reading. And then, me and my friends want to do a 24-hour readathon. I want to do a 24-hour readathon. How do I get in on a 24-hour readathon? Also, who has a day off of work? Not me. But I would love to do a 24-hour readathon. This week, just so you guys know, John and I might be doing some writing sprints on live. So, you know, that's something. Something to consider. All right. Chapter 17. Facebook launched in February 2004, and I kept hearing about it, but it was for college students only. Don't take it personally, Nikki advised, and I didn't. But it was a strange reminder that there was once a little girl called Star who dreamed of becoming a veterinarian. But I didn't go to college. The people who were paid to educate me failed, so I've had to educate myself by doing, dreaming, and experimenting, by reading and listening, by screwing things up and then fixing them again. I had to forage for my education on the all-you-can-learn buffet of life. My self-education is a college of experiences glued together with towering role models. Again, I was born to privilege. I'm not minimizing that. I could have coasted, and I never did. I worked, and every time my life fell apart, I worked harder. One priceless bit of advice my great-grandfather gave my grandfather and my grandfather gave me is success is never final. Failure is never fatal. I've seen both up close. Anyway, no college, so no Facebook for me in 2004, probably for the best. I'm sure there was a lot of garbage gossip about me. I didn't need that kind of negativity or distraction. The Simple Life was a massive hit and my business was booming. Working with Paralux Ltd, I started my lifestyle brand and released my first fragrance, Paris Hilton, female and male variations, which did so well that I decided to buy a big house. Wendy White helped me find a place on Kings Road above the Sunset Strip, and I remodeled it to include Club Paris, the ultimate after-party venue with an amazing sound system, full bar, and pole dancing pole. That's really funny. Nice. Emotional support Kindle. I loved curating music and collecting people who made these all-night events strange and magical. Musicians, models, artists, actors, and just a lot of random people doing wildly interesting things with technology and media. So many fresh faces showed up at my door. Anna Faris had recently reminded me about the night that she arrived starstruck and shy to a new world that was moving so fast. I took her upstairs and we sat in my closet talking and laughing while I showed her how to do the smoky eye that was just about to retrend. This may be the real life beginning of my life as a DJ because I never let the music stop. I steered every party like I was piloting a starship, never allowing anyone to be left behind. The 2004 soundtrack was defined by Outkast's album Speakerboxxx, Love Below, and Snoop Dogg's Drop It Like It's Hot. There were so many great movies that year. Mean Girls, Anchorman, The Notebook, 13 Going on 30, Napoleon Dynamite, Shaun of the Dead, Howl's Moving Castle, 50 First Dates. Nicole and I started filming season 2, which had us driving all over the country on a road trip, working odd jobs to finance our journey. One of the situations was at a dude ranch, which I was excited for. I loved horses. I felt confident about riding, and even though I hadn't done it for a while, everything started out fine. But I think my horse was jumpy because of all the unfamiliar camera equipment and people around. He lurched forward and picked up speed. I lost the natural rhythm and started bouncing high off the saddle, so when the horse bucked and kicked, I couldn't hold on. I hit the ground hard. The wind was knocked out of me, and I laid there for a minute struggling to breathe. By the time the crew people got to me, I was sitting up saying, I'm okay. And then I felt this weird sensation like molten lava pouring down the side of my body. I had fallen into a patch of stinging nettles, weeds that look soft and fuzzy, look soft and fuzzy, but are actually covered with millions of tiny needles, each one as fine as an eyelash and filled with acid. It felt like a javelin went through my torso. I tried to stay in character and make this funny, but I was in agony. The big joke on the show was that one of the cowboys was offering to pee on me, which was supposed to take the sting away, but no thanks. FYI, that's probably a myth, probably stemming from a situation where some cowboy peed on himself because it hurt so bad. As the show got more and more popular, the bits Nicole and I came up with went everywhere. Walking down the street in New York, I heard giggling girls singing, Sana, Sana. It's true, actually. My friends and I used to go, Sana, Sana, all the time. We thought that this was just the funniest thing that had ever happened. That's Hot caught on the same way that it had back in 6th grade. After we wrapped season 2, I trademarked the phrase. I wasn't sure what to do with it. I only knew that I didn't want anyone else to get to it first. Nikki was 19 and killing it. She debuted her high-end clothing line, Nikolai, at New York Fashion Week and unveiled a collection of dresses and rompers for her chic, ready-to-wear label. We did a collab with Samantha Thavasa, the Japanese company that made high-end bags. I saved up forever and got one of those. I still have it. It's pink and has silver stars on it. Just FYI. I don't carry purses, or that would probably be what I would still carry. Nikki was the designer and signed the bags, and we were both the faces, modeling for billboards and runways and ad campaigns. Every time we went to Japan, fans went crazy. It was like the Beatles had landed. Promoters packed on the schedule with a month's worth
of work in 7 days. We loved working as the Hilton sisters while we lived together in my place on Kings Road, and we did a lot of traveling and promoting our lines all over the world and having a lot of fun. That summer, I got into a weird moment that was not huge compared to some of the other moments, but it was upsetting. The first of many break-ins at my house on Kings Road. Not the bling ring break-ins and not the stalkers with knives, somebody else. People broke into that house like it was a Cadbury cream egg. The place had been ransacked and straight up crime scene. I wanted to get inside and get away from the paparazzi, but the cops had it taped off. So I popped across the street and climbed over the fence to a neighboring property, which happened to be the home of my former boyfriend, Jason Shaw. I got so tangled up that the gate alarms went off. Cops came swarming, followed by the paps. It was beyond. Nikki said, "I'm calling Elliot." Back in the 1960s and 70s, Elliot Mintz hosted Head Shop, a television talk show where he interviewed legends like Bob Dylan, Mick Jagger, Timothy Leary, and Salvador Dali. He was a close friend of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, and was by Yoko's side after John was murdered. To this day, Elliot is a regular at my parents' Thanksgiving table. He has a deep understanding of fame and media and a vast network of interesting friends who trust him, which is a rare thing in Hollywood. People called him the Hollywood Fixer or Spin Wizard. If you ask Elliot Mintz what he does, he says, "I clean up what gets tainted and magnify what glows." Nikki made the call, and Elliot was there within an hour. As he fought his way through the crowd, I noticed that he had no trouble making the paparazzi behave. Access is Elliot's superpower, and they were in awe of it. When he rolled up, they parted like the Red Sea. He dealt with the cops and got me back into my house and crafted a media statement that magically shifted the focus away from my violated house and fence climbing efforts to my emerging brand and my new fragrance. When it was all said and done, Elliot ordered some food to be delivered, and we sat talking for a long time. I liked his Jiminy Cricket integrity and deliberately thoughtful way that he spoke. All these years later, this is still one of the things that most impresses me about Elliot. He never speaks without thinking. Every word is a precise footstep. "What's your plan?" he asked. "Your wish, your ambition." I ask this of all my clients. "What do you want to achieve?" I didn't lie. I said, "I want to be famous. I want people to know who I am, to be aware of me, and I want them to like me so that I can sell all the things." My product lines, Nikki's product lines, designers, makers, anything I like. If I say something is beautiful, then they know it must be beautiful. If I go to this club or spa or resort, then everybody wants to go there. I want people to appreciate my opinion as a tastemaker, as an icon. I want to monetize that, but like a lot. Your immediate presence has been established, Elliot said. You're past the embryonic stage of your career developing. I nodded. "Yeah, it's going pretty well." "Yeah, like a runaway train," he said. "Do you worry about overexposure?" I don't believe in overexposure. There are parameters. There's a turnaround factor. You have to be aware of when it becomes obnoxious. I shrugged. Agree to disagree for the moment. We talked for a long time about the changing landscape of media and what it means to be a celebrity. Elliot said, "My specialty is how much a person can do when they're promoting their own work. When they become secondary in the dialogue, it's about the performance in the movie and the innovative sound they create in music. What was revealed in the book that alters people's lives, that to me is key to great media, lasting media. You can't simply be about the sale. Remember, there are such things as limited editions." "Maybe," I said. "Exclusivity, that was more my love language. If you reach a smaller number of people with real potency and power, they'll stay with you forever," Elliot said. I didn't fully understand it then, but what he was describing was my little Hiltons, a rock-solid core group of fans who became my family in many ways. "You have a career of 40 years, he said. "You don't have to burn it all out in 5. Artists aren't like athletes with limited number of years that they can be viable. There are countless examples of artists who come to create and inspire 2 or 3 generations of fans after decades and decades of doing good work." Looking for some concrete strategy for how to apply this theory, I showed him the flood of media requests and messages that poured into my phone every day. "Your life," he said, "is a whirlwind. People seldom realize how much of your life you have devoted to keeping yourself famous. It's round-the-clock, full-time experience. When you go into Ralph's at 1 a.m, you're on. When you're sick, you're on. When you're tired, you're on." "I know. When you climb a fence." "Elliot," I said, "I'm in on the joke." He knew what I was talking about, and he knew why I needed him to know. And that's what made Elliot an indispensable part of my working life for several years and an indispensable part of our family to this day. He curated requests and helped me practice a few talking points, but more than that, he helped me figure out a philosophy that grounded me in the middle of this firestorm that I'd started. In terms of crisis management, Elliot gave me the same advice he gives all his clients: don't lie. Learn from Clinton and Nixon. You're better off if you just cop up to it and move on. Even when we were momentarily mad at each other or busy with other things, I knew that I could call him if I really needed him. And as it turns out, I needed him a lot. Nikki had the foresight to know that in advance. Days and weeks rushed by in a continuous loop: work, party, travel, party, runway, party, repeat. Elliot crafted a tasteful announcement for every engagement and a sensitive statement for every breakup. Whenever my personal bullet train went off the rails, he provided the same kind of clarity and calming presence I could always depend on from Wendy White. Several nights a week, Elliot went out with me and my friends. As the designated driver, he sipped Chardonnay and carted us around without judging. Britt and Nicole and I always called him Shardy. Nikki and I loved to torment him on the phone. Elliot, Nikki says she wants to tie you up. Elliot, Paris wants to make out with you. Because we're like sophisticated like that. Elliot was constantly unfazed by us. We usually headed out for the evening about 9. We had dinner, hit a few clubs, collecting our entourage along the way. Nicole, Britt, Kimberly Stewart, Bijou Phillips, Casey Johnson were all among regulars, but we never knew who we might run into, and there was plenty of room in my Range Rover. By the time the clubs closed down, we'd have our after-hour raging options laid out. Elliot spent a lot of those after parties people watching or looking at the host's art while we danced and drank until 4 in the morning. And then, with the skill of a lion tamer, he steered us through the maze of waiting paparazzi and drove us all home. The New York Times did a story about Elliot in 2006, which he didn't like, but commented on because they were going to do it with or without his permission. The piece speculated about why this guy who was legendary in the industry, a man Yoko Ono described as a dear friend who went through the storm with me for 25 years, would be hanging out with 23-year-old party girl and her silly friends. The author of the article seemed to think that he should be spending his time on better people who didn't need him because everyone loved them no matter what, which really misses the element of who Elliot is. He's the guy who can be trusted when you don't quite trust yourself. YouTube launched in 2005, 3 days before my 24th birthday, taking the potential for self-promotion and self-embarrassment to a whole new level. Within the first 6 weeks of the new year, I hosted SNL with musical guest Kian in February and announced and broke off my engagement and wrapped the 3rd season of The Simple Life. In May, I blew a lot of tiny minds wearing a bikini and washing a car while eating a Carl's Jr. burger in a Super Bowl ad, which was later banned from TV for being too blanky. You know the word that I can't say on here because they'll flag me. She totally skipped over dating Nick Carter, which is crushing to my Backstreet Girl heart. Where's Nick Carter in here? Where justice for Nick Carter? Why did he not get his say? How dare? How dare? So no one was terribly surprised later to see me on the cover of Blank Boy. Except me. I was surprised, and not in a good way. Back when we lived at the Furley house in LA, Jen and Nicole went and hung out with Hugh Hefner every Wednesday in a Hummer stretch limo with a bunch of other girls, and I started going along with them, clubbing on Wednesdays and to parties at the mansion on Halloween and Midsummer Night and other special occasions. This was back in the day when those parties were so dope. I lived for events like that, and Hef kept wanting me to be a playmate, and I thought that it would be awesome. But when I told my mom, she said, "Are you insane? Absolutely not. You are not being a playmate. That is so trashy." Fun fact, Hef had also asked my mom to be one when she was a teenager, and Graham Cracker had shut it down for the same reason. Good on them. Years later, as I got more famous, he wanted me to do a cover. He kept asking me for more. He kept offering me more and more money, saying that I wouldn't have to be totally blank blank, just topless. And then saying I didn't have to be topless, just sheer. And then just saying I could wear whatever I wanted. He even offered me 7 figures, and I turned it down because I knew that my mom would lose her mind and because I had already been branded as a blank after the blank tape. I felt like that pictorial would just cement me in people's minds. One morning, a friend called me and said, "I love your cover." I was like, What? Hef had honored me with blank Star of the Year award, which meant that they can claim it as news and not a pictorial. He got a cover from an old test shoot with a woman photographer who was really great. It's kind of like old school pinup girl vibes. A red bustier in heels, black fishnets, and actual skin. Nothing as blanky as the Carl's Jr. shoot. And I imagine it sold well because people expected to see me. No, this is not my book. This is Paris Hilton's book. Naked inside the magazine. Surprise, suckers. They got nothing. Same as me. My parents were pissed, and I cried. But none of us confronted him because you just couldn't do that. That summer, I starred in House of Wax. The poster featured me fragile with the tagline, "Watch Paris Die." Featured my face with the tagline, "Watch Paris Die." I didn't mind that marketing approach, and I wasn't naive about why they chose it. And I liked that movie. It stands as a campy classic. I starred in National Lampoon's Pledge This, and I got to play Barbara Eden doing her iconic I Dream of Jeannie character in American Dreams. I made huge money during those years, and I did waste a lot of cash. But the only percentage you should waste as you move through your 20s, which should be an exploratory decade no matter how many zeros, I did waste a lot of cash, but only the percentage that you should waste as you move through your 20s, which should be your exploratory decade no matter how many zeros show up on your paycheck. You're young, Papa told me. You can tolerate a high-risk investment. He was talking about mutual funds and real estate, but I believe that you can apply that advice across the board, financially, emotionally, professionally, fashion-wise. I screwed up sometimes. I said some things that I wouldn't say now. I hurt people's feelings, and I'm sorry. I drank a lot, and I had some unfortunate moments. Some I can laugh about, others not so much. I'm not going to wallow in any of that here. I'm not offering explanation or asking anyone to explain themselves to me, so no walk of shame here. Sorry, not sorry. The only people who don't screw up are the people who never do anything, and I wasn't fully prepared for the tidal wave, the love and the hate that came my way, so I focused on the love and recognized the hate for what it was. Pig face. Hollywood's pig face is not a person, it's a mentality, a power trip that comes from a deep well of helplessness. When Provo Pigface put you on bans, no one was allowed to talk to you. Hollywood's pigface is a great shunning, shaming, and canceling of people who don't play tribal games. Provo Pigface mocked and bullied kids and got them to rat each other out. She only had one goal, which was to control us, and her power came from turning us against each other. As soon as I figured that out, I was no longer afraid. I took delight in messing with her, and this got me slapped around and thrown into solitary, but I survived it. There was nothing Hollywood Pigface could do to me that was worse than what I'd already gone through. True. I was 23 years old working on the 3rd season of The Simple Life when South Park did an episode about me. This was so trippy. South Park was my favorite cartoon. I'd met co-creators Trey Park and Matt Stone at a party and found them cool and interesting. If anyone could stand up to Pigface, I would have thought they could. Wah, wah. The episode, directed by Trey and written by Trey, Matt and Brian Garden, is called Stupid Stupid Blank Video Playset. I'm the title character, but they also apply that epitaph to Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, Tara Reid, and all the little girls who were fans, which upset me more than anything ugly that they could have said about me. It also upset me that the episode graphically portrays Tinkerbell as being ended. The thought made me sick. Tinkerbell, her dog, I assume, is what she's saying, which is, there's no reason for that. I've never been into South Park. I do not find their humor funny. It's never been my cup of tea. The thought of that made me sick. I'd been involved in some pretty edgy media, but I don't know where something like that comes from. When someone on a red carpet asked how I felt about Stupid Spoiled Blank episode, I said, oh, I didn't see it. And then I mumbled something about imitation being the sincerest form of flattery. Like, what was I supposed to say? Frankly, I didn't want to draw more attention to it. I always heard Mom's advice in the back of my head. Don't give it oxygen. When a journalist told Matt about my muted red carpet response, he said, that shows how effed up she is. Prior to Me Too, we were taught to be cool and rise above and accept stuff like that. My not wanting to watch his cartoon about my dog being ended and me coughing up stuff is evidence of how effed up I am. And what's really effed up is that I did accept it, and I did keep quiet about it for decades. I debated even bringing it up here because ick, and I hate conflict. They're obviously better at bashing me than I could ever be at bashing them. Stuff like this was what rap was all about. The only way I got through it was to stay quiet and stare at the floor. I just can't do that anymore. Advocacy work has taught me that silence means assent, and if you don't speak up, when something is wrong, that's the same as agreeing with it. I'm so sad that Matt and Trey went that route. Blankulizing, I can't say the word here, bashing of young women is worse than politically incorrect. It's dangerous and it's boring. It's a failure of imagination. I kept wondering why they fall back on that, stretching for any remaining shock value. There's another South Park episode in which Cartman is granted one wish by the school faculty, and his wish is to have Selena Gomez beaten while he watches. Is that true? I've never seen it, so I don't know anything about this, but that's terrible. Process that script with me for a second. A teenage girl is brought in to be beaten for the gratification of the protagonist. Someone beats her and says, "All right, get the F out of here," as if the girl they've just assaulted is a piece of garbage to be disposed of. The bar is that low. Wow. Selena Gomez is one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet in your life, and at the time the show was aired, she was dealing with a terrifying stalker in real life. But this isn't about who she is, it's about who we all are. How is something like that acceptable by all of us as funny? How do we not see the treatment of it girls translates to the treatment of all girls? I'm going to say that again for those in the back. How do we not see that the treatment of it girls translates to the treatment of all girls? I'll say it again. I loved South Park. I'm not saying South Park is a terrible show or that they should be canceled, but I do hope someday that Trey and Matt will consult their better angels about why they needed to be streaming stupid, spoiled, blank video playset and the Selena Gomez episode, or why the thing about Britney Spears and Miley Cyrus being ended while people take pictures of, look, I've done and said some things I'm not proud of, and I used to wear those horrifying Von Dutch caps. I went to the Playboy Mansion for a Halloween party dressed up as Pocahontas. At 18, I got drunk and performed a totally inappropriate version of Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice at a party. Yes, I knew all the lyrics. When I was put on the spot in an interview, I pretended that I voted for Donald Trump because he was an old family friend and owned the first modeling agency I signed with. And when I left to go to another agency, he was furious and intimidated the blank out of me on the phone. The truth is even worse. I didn't vote at all. Yeah, me too, Cindy. Me too. I'll say that. Am I standing by these choices? Would I make the same choices again knowing what I know? Of course not. None of that reflects the person that I am now. But people evolve and we have the capacity to learn. And we all make mistakes when we're young. And we have to let go of the CEDU dirt list mentality and find a way to do accountability and grace at the same time. They don't match, but they do go together. You wake up one morning and say, wow, that was not a good look. And you make right of it if you can. You apologize in private where it counts, in public if it helps. And then you move on. I'm not pretending to be like the Dalai Lama and Louboutin here. I'm just saying grace is available to all of this if we make it available to each other. The Simple Life ran for 5 seasons. Lots of laughter, lots of drama. During that time, boyfriends came and went. A Backstreet Boy, he doesn't even get a name. He's just in a list of boyfriends. A Backstreet Boy, a couple of Greek heirs, a lot of hungry tigers, and what Demi Lovato calls clout chasers. My book, Confessions of an Heiress, debuted at number 7 on the New York Times bestseller list, and I toured all over the place, connecting with hundreds of thousands of fans, loving my little Hiltons. I did modeling, movies, television, several releases of more fragrances, and collaborated on eyewear, skincare, shoes, bags, everything from phone cases to pillow shams. And eventually my brand expanded to encompass retail spaces, spas, and specialty hotels. During all of this and everything that was going on from summer 2007 to spring 2008, director-cinematographer Adria Petty followed me around with a handheld camcorder, shooting a crazy amount of footage for a documentary called Paris, Not France. It started out as a behind-the-scenes thing for an album I was recording, but she so beautifully captured the frenetic pace and edgy vibe of my life at the time. We looked at this amazing footage and agreed this isn't something DVD. This is an effing film. Adria put it all together with brilliant music, smash-cut editing, and commentary from Camille Paglia. Yes, that is true, Amanda. That means he didn't cause enough problems to be considered trauma in the book. So yeah, he's just a byline in the thing. Elevated to a discussion of what celebrity had become. Adria got the film into festivals all over the world. Cannes, Toronto, everywhere. And that scared me because there was some stuff in it about the tape. And if that wasn't enough, one day while we were filming, Elliot called to tell me that someone had acquired content of an old storage unit filled with my personal belongings, including family photos, private journals, and medical records. They wanted me to pay a huge sum of money to buy back the stuff, and if I didn't, all these intensely private documents would be published on a subscription basis in a website, much like the video had been. Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking, Cindy. I had heard that, and I thought that something might come, but apparently he didn't make a blip on the radar in the grand scheme of things, so maybe it wasn't that bad. That was in the news, but maybe they were wrong. I don't know. I actually met him right after they broke up, and he still had the tattoo of her name. There's a picture, actually. I have multiple pictures from that day, but yeah, one of my friends did the most embarrassing thing on the planet and like touched her name, the tattoo on his wrist, because she was like, oh my gosh, what a nice tattoo. And I was like, I was mortified. Like I literally wanted to crawl into a hole and die in that moment. Yeah, but it was still there at the time. And I literally just was like, I'll just end myself. I'm the most embarrassed I've ever been in my life in this moment because this is Nick Carter and you just pet his tattoo. What are you doing? It was very funny. We were very young. Before I had the chance to respond, the website went up and got 1.2 million hits in the first 40 hours. My private medical history, including bills and statements pertaining to the pregnancy years earlier, was available for people to judge and gossip about. I guess this was the scene where I was supposed to explain a miscarriage or justify an abortion, and I was just like, F that. No woman, famous or not, should be forced to discuss her reproductive health with a stranger. Robbing a woman of her right to privacy is a physical and psychological assault. People who do this kind of thing don't want to think of themselves as blankists, but that's what they are. Blank isn't about the S word, it's about power. Blankularizing the assault is the most effective way to make a woman feel like the rest of the world is judging and condemning her, which is usually the case. I've survived it over and over again in different forms. The man who roofied me, the orderlies who blanked me, the ex who released the tape, every person who ever watched it, and this. Those people overpowered me, chained me down, shamed and humiliated me because that rightfully belonged to them. It took me a long time to figure it out, and I'm still working on it. When I place the shame where it belongs, on the people who hurt me, they lose their power, and I'm free. Elliot rode in on his metaphorical white horse and chased the bastard down. He spared me most of the details, but my understanding is that the situation played out kind of like with Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee and their infamous tape back in the day. Someone got a hold of my private stuff and tried to sell it, and because he was a buffoon, other people stole it from him and made money off of it. The situation went on until a couple of years later when Elliot had a long come-to-Jesus conversation with this guy who made his living marketing sleaze and blackmailing celebrities, including me, Tom Cruise, and several others. Elliot felt that he'd made some headway and arranged to meet with the guy, who seemed exhausted by this creepy life's work and genuinely interested in finding some sort of redemption. Before the meeting could take place, the scandal monger ended himself in the shower. Karma's a bee. Well, there you go. You shouldn't do that, is the lesson there. Wild. Wild, wild, wild. All right. Well, that was that. I am gonna go. I do not know what today's schedule holds. Bro, Grace, everybody, have you guys seen how people are just like responding to her videos with just like blank stares? Basically, like, I do not advocate for tearing people down, but she's saying some wild things right now, and I'm glad the response that people are having is like, no one's bad mouthing her. They're all just kind of going, because she I mean, like, one of my favorite ones was her saying, I want to create a new genre, it's called gay pop, and then you just see Tegan and Sarah go. That's it. They don't even say anything. They just, because like, everyone was like, wait until she hears about David Bowie. Elton John. Anybody? And she's not having the moment that she wanted to have. I mean, like, but like, you want to create, baby girl, you're not the first lesbian. It's like she thinks she's the first pop star to ever, like, be gay. Like, I mean, wild, absolute insanity. It's, I mean, literally get a hold of yourself. Hilarious, absolutely hysterical. But anyway, right, literally, Grace, I know. Yeah, oh, the list is endless, Tiffany, absolutely. But I think my favorite one was someone going, wait until she hears about David Bowie. Yeah, but Miley didn't even say things like that, I don't think, right? I mean, wild. Anyway, I do have to make slime later, so I'll probably be on for that. Oh, I didn't know that, Grace. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, man, you gotta do your research, bro. You gotta do your research. Okay, I will see you all later, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Wish me luck in the writing journey, and then I will slime with you all. Bye, guys.